Welcome back to the channel. My name is Lena and today I'm going to be talking about how to read hard or difficult or long books. If you aspire to be well read, but some books are just so dry and so difficult, or you just are so intimidated by them, this video is for you. On this channel, I make videos simplifying money and home. If that is content that you need in your life, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you get notified every single time I upload a video. This video was inspired by one of my loyal subscribers, and if you have a video that you think I should make, drop that in the comments. I would love to hear from you. My first tip is to calculate your reading rate and your completion rate. How much of the book do you think you could read each day? How long is the book, and how long is it going to take you to finish it? So I read this book. It's a great book. It is a little bit dry. So I am checking out the book. Okay, where does the book start? I found the first page, and then I also need to find the last page. So often there's lots of references at the back or whatever, so it's not always as long as it looks, which is kind of handy. Okay, so this book is 292 pages long. Okay, so I just have to read this part right here. So let's just round up to 300. Let's say I'm going to commit to reading 50 pages a day, and if I can commit to that, then I will finish this book in 6 days. That doesn't sound so bad. So each day all I need to do is just read 50 pages. Or perhaps you think that it would be more reasonable for you to commit to reading 10 pages a day, and then that would take you 30 days to complete this book, which is also not that bad. And of course, you can always surprise yourself and read more. But if you're like, okay, it's going to take me 30 days if I just read 10 pages a day, and before you know it, it'll be done. Another way you could split it up is by chapters. So you could look at the beginning and check out how many chapters there are. So this book has 15 chapters, and perhaps you want to commit to reading a chapter a day instead. So that would be kind of like the medium approach for this book, because 10 pages a day would take you 30 days, 50 pages a day would take you 6 days, or if you did one chapter a day, you could do it in 15 days. So that would be kind of like a medium. So be realistic about what you can really read in a day. So this really enables you to have a plan for your book instead of just starting and being like, oh, this book is so long. How am I ever going to finish this? Okay, my next tip is to not worry about words that you don't know. I feel like this might be opposite advice of what I learned when I was younger, because they're like, well, this is how you expand your vocabulary. You stop every time you see a word that you don't recognize and you don't understand, and you have to look it up in the dictionary. But that really slows down the reading process, and before you know it, you've gotten through 2 pages and it's already been a half hour. So yes, I understand I do not know all the words, especially in very technical books. There's no way I can know all the words, and there's no way I can understand every single part about the entire book. But if I accept that on the front end, that I'm going to pick up most things, and I'm going to find out the meaning of words by context a lot, but I know that I'm not going to understand absolutely everything, I can let myself off the hook and just read through the book. So I think that it would be better to finish the whole book, get the whole ideas, get the main points, get the general concepts, than to get through the first chapter, understand every single facet of the first chapter because I looked up all the extra words and understood everything. I don't think that has as much value as the overview of the book. And in order for me to get that overview of the book, I need to not get hung up on all those hard words. So this means when there's a word I don't know, I'm guessing what it means. I am looking at the context. Maybe in the next sentence they'll say the exact same thing in a slightly different way, and they'll use a different word, and then be like, oh, that word must mean that. There are just so many words in the English language. So my next tip is to learn about speed reading. I talk about this more in my video about how to get reading done as a mom, so definitely go and check that out. But speed reading can really help you conquer those 50 pages a day or whatever your goal is, so that you can finish reading those books. I think the main speed reading thing that I try to remember when I'm really trying to bust through a book is following along with my finger. And for me, that means I'm going down the middle of the page, even though I know some people go like this, but the tip of my finger kind of wears out when I do that. So I'm just following down like this and going to the next line, so I know where I am, and then if I keep my finger moving, my eyes have to keep moving, so I force myself to read faster. My next tip is to be ready for not perfect comprehension. This is kind of related to the one about not knowing all the words, but this also means I'm getting the general concept of the book, I'm getting the main ideas, I'm getting one new thing that I'm learning from the book, I am expanding my mind, but I am not getting everything. I am not understanding the golf metaphor very well, and I'm okay with that. You probably will get most of the book, and the more books you read, the more you understand out of each one of them. I think it's just worth it to read the book, even if there's some technical parts that you're like, what? Just keep going and be okay with not understanding everything. I love reading these self-improvement books, or how to be good at stuff, or like Good to Great, or Deep Work by Cal Newport, books like that. And it's so cool that the more of those books that you read, the more you can see how they're connected and how they've read someone else's book and they use that concept in their book. This especially was true for me after I read Misbehaving. This is a dry book. This was such an interesting book, but very research-based. But after I read this book, I started seeing how everyone else had already read this book and were putting these concepts to use in their books. I just get a real big kick out of that. But if you can't get through these hard books, you don't get that really cool connection of people using other people's concepts. My next tip is to not give up at dry parts. So this book had its fair share of dry parts, or parts that I'm like, I'm not really understanding this, or this is, you know, a golf reference and I don't know anything about golf, or very research-based parts that are just like blowing my mind a little bit. Don't give up at those parts. My solution is read faster. Stick to your page goal, bust through that part. Especially in this book, there's a part in the middle where it gets really dry and really research-based. But if you can just keep going, you can get to the awesome conclusion and really when they wrap everything up and you're not so much in the weeds a little bit. So keep going, figure out how to read faster during that, and then stick to your page goal. So if you don't have a page goal, you're like, well, this part is terrible, I'm going to stop. But if you're like, okay, I've committed to finishing this chapter, then you finish that chapter and then it's done. Okay, my next tip is to take a break, or mix books, or read more than one book at once. I might overuse this rule a little bit, as it is not uncommon for me to be reading like 5 books at once, and I don't know if that's totally efficient, but it does keep me from stalling on any one book, because I can read 10 pages of this dry book and then I'll read 10 pages of my novel or whatever, or then I'll read this story for 10 pages or whatever. So I'm kind of like rotating my reading levels, you know, some things that are hard, some things that are easy. And also, don't beat yourself up if you just need to take a break from the book. Or maybe it's one of those books that they have all these strategies in them, like Eat That Frog. I still have not finished that book because I wanted to actually implement the strategies as I was going. So I was like, me busting through this book is not actually useful to me. So I read a few chapters and then I went on to another book or whatever, but I tried to apply those strategies to actually my life so that they would actually be of use. So it's kind of like, what is the book like? What's the purpose of the book? You know, that sort of thing. Again, if you're interested in learning more about speed reading a little bit, definitely check out my other video about reading as a mom. I will leave that in the description for you guys. let me know down in the comments what is the hardest part about reading books for you. Give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye for now.